So you've got an error or something, a bug in your game in Unity. This video will help you solve near enough any issue that you're having, code related. So what you want to do is attach your Visual Studio, if you're using Visual Studio, to Unity. So you can use this button here, or if you're like me, you'll have multiple instances running, and you need to do debug attach Unity instance. I noticed this one here, so I'll go ahead and I'll select that. So now Visual Studio Debugger is hooked up to Unity. Now we want to add breakpoints, which is marked by this red icon here. So you can do that by clicking in this bit of Visual Studio. That basically means that when this bit of code, so this line, gets executed, it will pause in the debugger and we can come in here and do some more things. So I've set mine here. I'll come back into Unity, play my game, and I'll do something to execute that bit of code. So I know that that is using input fire 3, so I'll come over to my door here and press it. So there we go. This arrow shows what line of code the debugger is on, so we can use some controls up here. We can use step over, which just steps to the next line of code, which is pretty cool. We can come down to this line here where we're calling another method, so you could just, if you want, drag that arrow down, and it works both ways. So if you want to go back to a previous bit of code that you've already stepped over, you can just drag that back up. We can also test these values here. So obviously this try door timer is 0, so it's not greater than 0. If we wanted to test something that was inside this conditional, we can just click, change the value, and then that's us. It's now 50, and we can come in here, step over, and then there we go, we're testing that value, that bit of code inside of the conditional. Like I said, come down here where we're calling another method, we can then use this step into, which just takes us inside of the other method that we're, oops, there you go, step into again, and it's not working of course because it's a static method, so obviously test it on non-static methods. We can also use step out, so we can step out of different methods that we've stepped into. So if I come into here and it's a better example, control scheme 2, so like if I'm using this method here, so we'll continue to do that. I can step through here all I want, and then I can use step out, which will just return me to update where this control scheme 2 is being called. And if I want to just skip a method altogether, I can just step over it, and then like earlier, I can use step into to actually go in and step through each line of code inside that method. Step out again will just take me back to here, and then you can just use continue, take that away, use continue, and that will just continue your game, or it will continue on to the next breakpoint you've got set. So that just gives you a wee bit better insight into what's actually going on in your game. We can also use things like watches. So I'll come here, I've stopped here, so if you go to your view, we don't need to go to view, we can just click watch here, so you'll have watches down at the bottom of your Visual Studio. So we can right click some value we want to track, so I've got player here, I can add that as a watch, and then that means I've just got easy access to all the different values that are stored inside of this variable. And it doesn't need to be complex objects, it could be things like this door timer, like I was talking about earlier. That's just a float declared at the top of my script. So and then we can just track the value that's in there. So it just gives you a bit more insight into what's actually going on in your code, and it'll help you break down any issues you're having a wee bit easier. So, yep, hope that helped. Cheers.